What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Hope we're all having a wonderful Wednesday out there, and hopefully we've all had a nice, productive day in what has been relatively really nice weather for the majority of the eastern half of the country. But a bit of a spoiler alert here, that's going to change, unfortunately, for a lot of us this week. And it won't stay like this through the entire rest of the week, and we have a big time cool down as well on the way to start your following work week. So pretty active times ahead, so hopefully you've been out there and enjoying this weather so far. Currently, I've been enjoying it other than the pollen, which has not been fun at all, I can tell you that. That has really been a real bummer because I'd love to be outside really enjoying this really nice springtime weather, but unfortunately, I'm sure for many of you as well, that has made it a little bit difficult. Other than that, a couple housekeeping things here at the beginning of the video. I did change the channel profile picture from a picture of me from like forever ago that I had to the channel logo here with kind of the Milky Way there on the background, which is actually a picture I took myself back home in Pickens, South Carolina. So if you're interested in what that is, but just want to let you know nothing has changed in like the grand scheme of things. Just changed the profile picture just because I think it matches the channel theme a little bit more, and hopefully that makes new folks that see the channel able to kind of identify our theme a little bit more here than just a kind of random picture of me in front of a green screen. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into the forecast. So we'll start here by looking at our hazards, and we have a good bit going on out there, but the big story right now is this winter weather up into the northern tier of the country, from northern Minnesota all the way back over through much of Montana this afternoon and evening, seeing that snowfall, and that snow will begin to really get going into sections of Minnesota over the next 24 to 48 hours, and we'll take a look at that in our future radar later on in the video. Another story here is we do have some severe storms over the Midwest currently, kind of hard to tell here, but in kind of these small areas of these yellow boxes indicating those severe storms. And then also some red flag warnings here through the kind of central part of the country due to this kind of springtime weather we're in, really helping to allow any fire that does start to get out of hand pretty easily. So if you're burning in any of these pink areas on the map, which includes the entire state of New Jersey, the entire state of New Mexico, and then much of western Texas and Oklahoma, as well as sections here of Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio, definitely be careful if you're out there burning anything, or really just don't burn anything at all. It's the safest bet or the safest option to take there. So we'll also look at our radar currently, and you can tell it's relatively active for sections of the country, but here in the eastern half, and especially the southeastern half, we are all clear, nothing to talk about. But that is changing back here towards the middle part of the country, where we have our next storm system really beginning to take shape here over sections of Colorado and Nebraska this evening, and that is going to help to bring some of that snow up here towards Minnesota and some severe storms here for the Great Plains before we get another storm system to kind of form near the Gulf and cause more severe weather problems over the weekend. So we'll definitely watch out for that as well. Taking a look here at satellite, again, all clear here in the eastern half of the country, so really about as good as it can get in terms of weather here for some of these major cities like DC, Charlotte, Atlanta, Birmingham, Knoxville, Nashville, Louisville, and I could go on and continue naming every city in this nice clear pattern, but I'm sure that you can find where you live on the map. So if you're in this really nice area, congratulations. If you're back out here towards the plains, not as good, and things are really going to begin to deteriorate that direction over the next little bit. And you can really tell this storm system over Montana is an absolute beast, and you're getting the flow from that really as far south as the Gulf of Mexico, creating this very comma head shape, indicating that this is a very strong low pressure system, and we're going to continue to watch how that then begins to feed into our new system over here, getting ready near Colorado. So the way we're going to structure this video is I'm going to start out here by showing you a nationwide view of everything, and then we're going to break this down into the eastern half of the country and go a little more in depth over the next 48 hours specifically, and then we'll take a look at those impacts we expect over that time. So again, really going into tonight, I expect this new storm system over Colorado to really begin to strengthen as it moves up towards the Minneapolis area. So as that's going on, I do expect some pretty nice snow into sections of the Dakotas and Minnesota overnight tonight and into tomorrow. And while that's ongoing, severe weather here to the south from Texas, likely all the way up through Iowa, having that chance of some of those severe storms tomorrow. Then as we go into tomorrow night, we're going to get another area of low pressure to kind of begin to form down here near the Gulf, and that is going to help cause enhanced areas of rain and severe weather during the day Friday here through the southern tier of the country. and into the southeastern part of the country eventually on Saturday. So this is Friday afternoon here. You can see likely those severe storms down here near sections of the country like Memphis, Little Rock, Shreveport, Jackson, Mississippi, potentially seeing some of those strong storms as well on Friday afternoon. Before eventually going into Saturday, the storm system really begins to crank up and move up the Appalachian chain. So with that, we'll watch for some severe weather potential on Saturday here in the mid-Atlantic before eventually we get into Sunday and the storm system kind of begins to really pull away and then during Sunday likely clearing the northeast. But by the time we get to Sunday, most of us should be in the clear of that storm system, and we should begin to hopefully clear out a little bit before potentially another round or two of rain next week. But the other big story behind that third storm system this weekend is going to be that below average and very dry air on the backside. So kind of chapstick weather, if you will, going into early next week. So breaking down the threat for severe weather going into tomorrow, again, we have that risk from really Chicago all the way down towards Houston, San Antonio, and Austin having that chance of severe weather. But really the bullseye of this being from kind of St. Louis back down towards south central Texas, having the highest chance of those severe storms tomorrow. So looking at the eastern half of the country with this, going into tonight, I do expect that area of severe storms overnight tonight to be here from Iowa and Kansas, having the best chance of seeing those strong damaging storms, including tornadoes, having the potential of that, but really especially large hail and damaging winds being the real factors out of this, I think, overnight tonight. And while that's ongoing in those areas, we're going to see that snow begin to break out in Minnesota like we were talking about. So pretty active night in the Midwest, but pretty clear just about everywhere else. And then as we get into tomorrow afternoon, you can see that snow really beginning to blossom here through sections of Minnesota and North Dakota, really getting in on some of that action. And then we're going to get some of those discrete cells to fire up tomorrow afternoon in that severe weather area that we just looked at on the map. So we'll definitely have to watch for that tomorrow afternoon. You can see that's eventually going to turn into just a whole lot of rain overnight tomorrow with some lightning and even some embedded strong storms there from St. Louis all the way down through Texas, having that higher risk of some flooding as well as those strong storms before eventually we get into Friday afternoon and we could have another kind of chance of severe weather through a lot of those same areas and some leftover snow showers up here into the Midwest. So definitely watching that. That's as far out as that model goes, only through the next 48 hours. So unfortunately, that's really about as detailed as we can get over that time period. So looking at the snowfall over the next 48 hours, again, the bullseye here being into northern Minnesota and northern North Dakota with upwards of 0.5 foot to 8 inches of snow possible there, especially the closer you get to the Canadian border. So, pretty hefty amount of snow, especially for late April standards. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that. That could definitely cause some travel problems as well as increasing that snowpack that is eventually going to melt later on and cause some flooding issues to continue through those areas. So going into Friday, again, I do think we have another chance of severe weather, kind of especially down here towards the Gulf of Mexico. So big populated areas like Houston under the gun Friday for some of those strong to severe storms. But even places like Memphis, Jackson, Shreveport, and then as far south as Galveston could see some of those strong storms as well. So looking at the rainfall over the next 120 hours, this pretty much gets us through this week. I do expect the heaviest of those totals to be down here into kind of the southern tier of the country near the Gulf, where we're going to get some training of those storms. So we'll have to watch for flooding in that area. So anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain possible there for much of Arkansas, Louisiana, down towards Jackson and Memphis as well, and even further up towards areas of Kentucky getting a pretty hefty amount of rain through the rest of this work week. And then another area that's likely going to see a pretty good amount of rain is over here into the mid-Atlantic as that front begins to move on through during the day Saturday. Excuse me. So the other big story here is going to be those temperatures. And again, right now we're really kind of baking. So this is tomorrow afternoon. We're getting 10 to 15 to even 20 degrees above where we should be this time of the year. And we're already getting into late April. So this is getting up into the 80s for many of us tomorrow afternoon. That is going to cause, for some of you, really pleasant weather. And for some of you, an unfortunately ugly sign that summer is very well on the way. So if the heat isn't your thing, definitely make sure you kind of try to enjoy being inside into the air conditioning, and you'll really enjoy early next week as we get that cool down. But if you're an outdoor kind of person and you're excited for summer, really enjoy tomorrow, because by the time we get into Friday and especially Saturday, that cold air is going to make an intrusion. This is going into early next week. Look at this, below average temperatures really overtaking much of the eastern half of the country. So we're going to have to watch out for that as that really begins to cool things down. So just to recap again, we have some severe storms as well as snow right now, but also a really big cool down on the way through this weekend and especially into early next week before we likely bring in those rain chances back going into the middle of next week. And, that's kind of the pattern we're in right now, kind of a very spring-like pattern for many of us, and we'll have to definitely watch that as it continues to unfold, and we'll see if we get some kind of pattern change and any kind of long-term changes. We'll definitely watch out for that as well. But with all that said, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.